Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the continuing culinary tour of the southern states of America. And I'm delighted to have my friends here from Alabama, where I have spent many happy moments, and I've had some gorgeous food. But Gray, you're the top man in Alabama tourism. If I'd never been there before, what would you recommend that I would eat? What would be my food memory for Alabama?
Well, it really depends on what part of Alabama you're in. If you're in the northern section of the state, I would say you just have to try barbecue with white barbecue sauce. That's what we're best known for in North and Central Alabama is great barbecue and a sauce that's put on the barbecue that's kind of mayonnaise based. So not tomato, but mayonnaise based. Absolutely tasty. When you head down to the south, well, that's where we have a coast. That's where seafood is absolutely king. We have our own little area that processes seafood. Battle of Battery, that many people have heard of from the movie and the book Forrest Gump. So was made famous in those books and movies. But it is an actual fishing village. And all that great seafood comes up and just creates dish after dish after dish. You know, Mobile in itself has just French influence and Spanish influence and African influence that all combines with the Great South. So that area of Alabama was first controlled by the French and controlled by the Spanish, controlled by the Great Britain. Just everyone wanted a piece of Mobile, Alabama before finally it became part of the U.S. As a result, all those influences mixed together. And for years, people just created their own home cooking with all these different ingredients that just flowed in the area. And when you brought in the fresh seafood there, it just made fantastic dishes. So just about anything, you walk into a local restaurant in Mobile and sit down and order something from seafood side, you're going to have a great meal.
Fantastic. Well, Jim, you're from Mobile. You are the food man. You are the chef. What would you serve me? I mean, what's fresh? What's seasonal? What's good?
Well, that what you just said is where we always start. What's fresh? What's seasonal? And what's good? And those are really kind of where we start every day. Whenever I walk into the kitchen or try to figure out what's going on. We really almost all the produce and meats and seafood that we serve is all harvested from within about 100-mile radius of the restaurant, and so we are very specific on and very focused on what we can get immediately from our neighbors, essentially. And that is part of what makes the Alabama food culture such an important and interesting thing. When you're in the American South, it is just like what we're saying is that so many cultures came together and worked in this place, and especially with the influence of slavery and African culture, as well as sort of those intense French and European ties. It really makes a huge difference to the food stylings of Alabama and the South, and it's something that we're proud of. It's something that I'm very proud of to be a part of that every day. The kind of the things that I grew up eating are the things that farmhands used to eat back in the day, and so there's a lot of this real kind of tradition in Alabama food that is important to all of us. But if you came to my restaurant, I would probably start you off with some oysters, maybe some raw ones, and then some grilled ones. But yeah, I would always sort of head towards the seafood as a representation of what Mobile has to offer. Excellent.
It's interesting it seems to be a common thread throughout the South that some of the best food is the food from the people, from the fields, from working people. And those traditions have continued through to modern day cuisine, which is an interesting thing.
It is, definitely. Those are our traditions, and Alabama is certainly not the wealthiest state in the United States by any stretch, and hasn't been historically, but it has sort of caused the people and the folks who live there to figure out what they want their food culture to be, and want their what they grow to be what ends up on their table. And something that a lot of modern people just kind of forget the connection that they have to food. If you just go to the grocery store, you don't realize what it takes to butcher a cow or a pig. And so there's a real distance between how modern people eat versus how we used to eat 100 years ago or 200 years ago, because there's just not that connection like there used to be. You don't see what happens, you just are eating it. And so I really do feel like the sort of the farming communities, the fishing communities in Alabama are really a good example of that kind of ingenuity, and it creates something special in the end.
Excellent. A personal note here, though, and I'm surprised neither of you gentlemen have mentioned it, is boiled peanuts.
Oh,
I'm from Dothan, where I have been, and I absolutely adore them. Do either of you eat boiled peanuts?
I love boiled peanuts for sure, and actually, in the restaurant, I try to figure out ways to elevate boiled peanuts. We do serve them in various dishes, more like you would think of, like a bean in a dish. But it is a good. Boiled peanuts are great, and like I use them in a lot of stuff. We serve an Asian style curry with peanuts. We do, like I said, we do the boiled peanuts, the green peanuts when they're available, and yeah. That's a good call. That's a good thing for you for reminding us about peanuts. Yeah.
Yeah, we like boiled peanuts, and in the UK, no one has ever heard of boiled peanuts. But I actually went to the headquarters of the Peanut Festival and sampled some there as well.
The festival is pretty impressive.
Yeah, it is a very impressive thing. Lots of people. But gentlemen, thank you very much. I can't wait to go back to Alabama and have some seafood and maybe some more boiled peanuts with a beer.
Well, thanks for having us.
Thank you.